But yeah, if there is anybody in the stream, what are you all thinking about these new PvP changes? Because it's very interesting for them to just kind of release something like that rather than putting it in a TWAB or something like that. Um, Obviously, I'm guessing there wasn't going to be a TWAB for PvP, and I think obviously players are once again just getting really frustrated with not really having anything coming for PvP. Because I want to reread over it actually very quickly. Competitive modes are part of what makes this game special. I can't imagine a version of D2 that doesn't involve getting sweet new gun and taking it for a spin into Crucible. This year, the team has spent a lot of our future-facing efforts on plushing up the current Crucible experience. You've seen some of this already in the stasis balancing, reputation updates, and shifting weapon metas. Next season, you'll continue to see this effort not only with changes to three peaking, but also what the team has been planning for the revamped Trials of Osiris. Tune in to so they're going to show that off in the big the 24th stream thing that they're doing. We're going to keep our foot on the gas when it comes to revitalizing PvP pursuits and keeping gameplay metas fresh. This isn't something we'll ever be done with, but we know we also have room to grow when it comes to new maps and modes. In the first half of 2021, we've been focusing on foundations, but now we're spinning up teams on new maps and modes. We believe in this investment, but it's going to take some time before you start seeing results in game. The ultimate goal here is consistency. If you play PvP, the team wants you to understand that you will be getting new maps and modes every year, and that the cadence of those coming out feels something. Or was it predictable? Predictable. But in order to get predictable, we need to open the faucet again. The new maps take time to get right, so to open the faucet for Season 16, the team is working on porting 2 Vaulted Destiny 2 maps to be compatible with our engine's update. When we upgraded our engine with Beyond Light, it means we had to hand port all of our Destiny 2 maps and modes. So it may seem from the outside like just pressing a button, and there's a significant lift from our team to get more of this content back in rotation. After reprising maps in Season 16, Season 17 will come out with a brand new map. There is a bunch of new environments in Destiny 2. We're excited to start bringing them into Crucible, so I'm guessing like Europa and the rumoured old Chicago for Witch Queen. That's the thing, I'm surprised they never did a map for Beyond Light. I once again still really surprised at that. Like, I think every big expansion, after bringing in a new area, should just come with a Crucible map regardless of anything, but it is what it is. Finally, after those 3 maps are added into rotations in 16 and 17, we'll be remastering a Destiny 1 map and bring it into D2 for the first time in Season 18. All this effort is going to be done in parallel with the team looking to fund the far future with predictable roadmaps of maps in Lightfall and beyond. So I'm guessing from like Lightfall, like it's like you're going to be guaranteed like 2 new maps, and as I kind of said, 2 new maps and like a new mode every year, which is kind of cool. But maps are just part of the recipe here. We also need to support modes. Like, I get the whole thing of people wanting new maps. Don't get me wrong, I get that, but it's just like how the way I feel about it is like last season we got a new strike in Proving Grounds, but already like that strike's just it's just another strike. Like, they're interesting for a while, and then like I'd much rather a more balanced sandbox and new modes than new maps. Um, But once again, I can also see wanting new maps because you want something new and different. Um, but yeah, because that's the thing. I went on to Twitter not that long, like obviously before I started reading all this for the first time, and I saw like Twab and Bungie were trending. I was like, why are they trending? Like, if it was a Thursday and it was a Twab, I could understand, but obviously it was because of this. But maps are just part of the recipe here. We also need to support. We also know we need to talk about modes. There are three main efforts going on behind the scenes here. First, the team is investigating getting Rift into Destiny 2 next year. It's been too long since we've dunked on Guardians, on some Guardians. The Destiny sandbox has sped up in D2, so right now the team is validating that the mode still holds up with our new gameplay. The only thing that I can see with Rift, I played a bit of it in D1, not a lot, but I have a feeling everyone's just going to run stasis and try and slow you down. That's what I think. And I think that's going to get annoying probably pretty quickly. But anyway, once again, they could have a walk around for that. Second, the team is working on multiple brand new modes for 2020. We aren't quite ready to spoil these yet, but we're excited to offer new twists and rules to the way you can make Shaxx proud. Finally, after the dust settles on Trials update in Season 15, we want to look at what other broad systematic improvements in PvP ecosystem needs. We want to provide something on the scales of the trials reworked to players every year. So this tweet has turned into a tweet novel, but I wanted to make sure we shed some light on what's going on behind the scenes here. Overall, we're still very invested in growing the amount of Destiny we make every year. One way to hold me accountable for looking at our career pages, we're looking for ENV artists, environment artists, gameplay designers, lighting artists, and more to help improve our PvP output. We know you want more Destiny, and we are committed to growing the team and going to make them changes possible. It's also risky to talk about what's in the oven, and dates and specifics might change, but it's been a while since we've talked about PvP, and we want players to know what we're working on. What? To know that we're working on content for all those Guardians who like to spend time with Shaxx and the Red Jacks. So yeah, it's good that they're finally putting light on PvP, even though once again they have said that they're doing that's going to take a while, because obviously, like, you know, them saying that now, because season 15 isn't getting any new maps. Then season 16, so Witch Queen will get 2 old maps back, and then the season after that will get a new map. A brand new map, and then the season after that. So 4 new maps within just, say, a year? 4 maps, 2 reissued from D2, 1 reissued from D1, and a brand new map. Now, this is interesting because, obviously, if there's anybody listening and you don't want to have any form of spoilers, because this might be spoilers, but it might not be spoilers, that Bungie are rumored to be doing a Halo expansion type thing in Destiny, like a crossover kind of event. And in that, it was rumored that we'd be getting 2 old maps back and 2 new maps. So this kind of confirms kind of something similar to that. So we're getting 2 old maps back. We're getting 1 new map and then 1 D1 map. So obviously with a leak you mightn't get all the information. So they might have seen like 2 D2 maps and then 2 other maps and just assume that they were new maps, but they're remastering a D1 map. So yeah, I know it's very very interesting. And then obviously I'm personally looking forward to the Trials rework, because even though I don't really play Trials, well, I do play Trials. If there's a good weapon or something to go for, I'll always go for whatever it is that week. So I'm very, very interested to see which way they're going to change it. They did say they're bringing reputation rewards, like they have currently for Gambit and Crucible, to Trials. So it's going to be interesting to see which way they implement it. Now, out of curiosity, I'm going to go to Shaxx and actually see what he has. So obviously these are the rewards. Now this is obviously after you complete 1 set of rewards. Because usually it's like, oh, you get a shader, you get an emblem at the end. It's usually an ascending shard. And then usually there's just like prisms and stuff as well. So my guess is that, here's what I think they might do. If they have it the same as this, it'll be really interesting because obviously you get, once you upgrade your ranks here, you get an engram and you get usually one of the featured armor sets. So it'd be interesting if the featured armor set was the old set from Trials, like the one that was brought back from D1, because I still think you should be able to get that armor set. So it'd be cool if that was the featured armor set, that you could kind of grind armor without having to grind, like, get wins. So it'd be interesting if the old armor set was there. And once again, once you go up your ranks, you get your Crucible engram and you get it. That'd be pretty cool. In terms of reputation rewards, they could do, obviously, like they do in the first one. Do I have Drifter done? Because I might be. No, I definitely have Drifter done this season already. But it'd be interesting because obviously you could have a shader for Trials. That'd be kind of cool. An emblem for Trials that isn't just like going flawless or whatever. That'd be cool. So you could have maybe in like the first slot. Once again, you could still obviously have like cores and prisms and whatnot. So you could have maybe in the first slot, maybe like a shader or an emblem. Then in the second slot, you could have like a Trials engram. So you're just going to get something that you've already gotten. Like the way when you get 20 tokens. Because I'm guessing they're going to get rid of the token system. I think they're just system-wide, they're trying to get rid of the token system. Bit by bit. So I think they'll have something like that. So like a Trials engram, and then you can have obviously either a shader or an emblem again. Because obviously, just say the first one's a shader, second one's a Trials engram, third one is an emblem. You could then have something like a guaranteed weapon. So just say if they bring in a new Trials weapon next season, so just say it's a sidearm, you could be guaranteed to get the sidearm on like the 4th or the 5th track of that reputation rewards. And then the last one you could still just, you could maybe have like on whatever one isn't a guaranteed drop, once again another Trials engram, and then the last one is an Ascendant Shard. And then when it rotates to this one, it can be kind of similar to what it is here, but rather than you getting materials, you'll get just more Trials engrams. Because I'd like that, because I'd like to be able to play Trials and actually just like play it. Because that's the thing, like it is very frustrating when you go against good teams. But obviously it's meant to be the kind of end game PvP mode, which is like, you know, the best players go into it and you get the best rewards. So it's understandable for someone like myself who, like, I'm confident enough in PvP, but like I wouldn't say I'm amazing. But just to be able to go in and play and know that if you play long enough you'll get rewards, because that's one thing I hate currently with Trials. Even though I do it whenever there's the end game bounty, I'll go and do it. I'll pick up as many bounties as I can and try and get them done so I can get my guaranteed 3-win reward and then hopefully have enough tokens for 1, maybe 2 Trials engrams. But there's a lot goes into that to get like 3 things, and you're not even guaranteed that they're going to be good. Obviously the weapon just depends on the rolls you'll get, and then with the using the tokens to get the engrams, you don't know what you're going to get. You could get, obviously you're going to get anything that you previously have had. Like, obviously, you could get like an Astral Horizon, an Igneous Hammer, or maybe like I got the helmet recently, so I could get the helmet again. But like, it's way too RNG based. So it'd be nice even in that reputation rewards if it was like a Trials armor engram or a Trials weapon engram, and you'd be guaranteed, obviously, armor or weapon, an armor piece or a weapon. But obviously, it comes down to, well, if you haven't done Trials before and haven't unlocked it, and what are you going to get? So maybe they could have that where you maybe get one of the featured armor sets. Like, obviously, as I said, you could change the featured armor sets to be the old Trials armor, so you could do it that way. So it's like, oh, you don't have any like of the new armor yet, here's some of the old armor. Or you could even do it with, like, if there was a weapon engram, you could get like one of the old weapons that you can't really get anymore, like Summoner. Even though I do think something like Summoner might come back next season with new roles, because a Summoner with like tunnel vision or heating up could be absolutely disgusting. So I'm very, very interested to see if they're going to do that, because I quite like Summoner. Even though 600s aren't the meta anymore in Crucible, it'd still be really nice to get a new one, because I always wanted to get the was it Overflow Rampage role? Yeah, but I never got that. I got something very, very close. But yeah, very interesting to see what they're going to do with Trials, because especially they've also said that they're going to do hopefully like a solo Trials thing. My guess is that if they're going to keep kind of the way it's working at the minute, it might be like solo up to like 3 wins, and then after that you can basically have an opt-in button where you can, like, I opt in to play with this team, this exact team for the next matches after win 3. So they could do something like that. But once again, people have talked about bringing in a new card, that it doesn't matter about losses. You can just keep playing until you get your reward, but you can't go. I think the kind of caveat that people were talking about with it was that you cannot get flawless with this particular card. This is just a card for people who just want to get the 3, 5, and 7 win rewards. You could just keep playing until you get the rewards. Obviously, it's another case of, are you going to get the rewards anyway, because you obviously have to get wins. But once again, the whole idea is to incentivize people to play more. So if more people are playing, you're going to go against more teams roughly around your level. Maybe not exactly your level, but like, it could be lower, it could be higher. So if to do that, I think that'd be a great incentive. Because once again, like, sometimes, like, I'd love to get the 5 win reward. So just say, like, last week was what? It was the helmet. Was the helmet? Yeah, the helmet was 3 wins and the sword was 5 wins. Now, obviously, like, you mightn't want the sword. I already have the sword. But just say if it was a weapon that I don't have a particularly good roll of, that I want to get a better roll, like the SMG. I have some good rolls, but I don't have the exact roll I want. But if I was able to get 2 5 wins and not have to worry about losses, I would 100% do that to get the SMG. Because, like, I find, like, 3 wins is doable, especially if you have one PS4, because I'm currently on PS5, because there's the whole matchmaking with old gen and next gen. So when you have someone on your team with a PS4, it definitely makes it easier. I definitely think it makes it easier. But anyway, getting the 3 wins, I've done it a few times, even with LFGs. I've done it with my friends. It's doable. But anything after that, that's when it really starts to get tough, because obviously it's a case of most people just want the 3 win reward and then we'll get out. So that's when you get the real tough players and the sweats, as people would say. So it'll be very, very interesting to see how the rework trials. Hopefully, obviously, I think for the most part, it's going to be for the better. Obviously, there's still going to be certain things that people are going to give out about, but that's just a natural thing. You can't please everyone. Even with a perfect product, it's not going to please everyone. So I'm very, very much looking forward to the PvP changes, because recently, because I feel more confident in PvP, I've been playing more PvP. So, yeah, any changes to PvP are welcome. All maps coming back. I know people are going to be mad about that, but there's a few maps from D2 that went when Beyond Light came that I'd like to see back. And now, obviously, the ones that I might want to see mightn't come back, but I think just at this stage, having anything is better than having nothing. So I'd rather have 2 old maps come back than not get anything else. As I was just reading on Twitter there, Grenadier Jake was talking about he'd much rather see the team focus on a new map than older maps. But I think it's a case of, with development, obviously, it's much easier to bring back older maps than it is newer maps. So I think, like, it could be a case of, well, like, just say Bungie or any development team, they could, with an old map, they could literally have 4 or 5 or 6 old maps come back in the time it would take them to get one new map done, or maybe even more. Because, like, as I said, there's 2 old maps coming back in Season 16 and 1 new one in Season 17. But, yeah, like, I completely understand wanting new maps, but at the same time, I would rather, like, if they were like, we could give you 2 new maps, but it's going to take us a year to get you 2 new maps. Or we can get you 4 maps, one of them being brand new and 3 of them being reissued, but we can get you that in half a year or like 8 months or something like that. I think personally that's better, even though once again it's always nice seeing new maps. But that's basically what they're doing, because I said, I don't know obviously the timeline of the next few seasons coming out, like obviously season 15 starting August 24th, but we don't know how long that's going to be. We don't know if that's going to be until Witch Queen, because that's the thing. They said season 16 is when Witch Queen is coming out. So, or typically that's the way it'll work. But with them extending Witch Queen's date into early next year, which could be February, it could mean that next season could be like a month. Not a month, sorry, 6 months long, which is quite a long time. It's like Season of Arrivals was very long because of the delay of Beyond Light, so it would be even longer than that by, I think, like 4 or 5 weeks or something like that. But they could surprise us and be like, well, what we're actually going to do is season 15 is going to go up to just say like December. And then season 16, which would have dropped with Witch Queen, will actually drop a little bit earlier than Witch Queen. So they could do it that season 16 drops and then halfway through season 16, Witch Queen drops, or then season 17 will be Witch Queen. Because it's very possible that will happen, because usually you think if they're bringing in a new map, they're going to bring it in with an expansion rather than a season. But obviously, it depends on how fast they work and how they can get stuff done. But it'd be kind of nice to see 2 new maps come out, or 2 revisited maps come out before Witch Queen, and then have a new map with Witch Queen. But obviously, once again, we'll know more come August 24th. So yeah, very, very interested once again to see all this happening. It's good that we, like, the community, mainly the PvP players. Obviously, once again, I do play PvP, but I just don't play it as much as, like, it's not my main thing to go to. Like, obviously, when Iron Banner's on, I'll play it. When I need to get a powerful reward, I'll play it. So, like, I do play it quite regularly, but, like, once again, if Bungie one day came out and said, oh yeah, we're completely removing PvP and it's going to be its own separate game, like, once again, my main focus is PvE, so I wouldn't be overly upset. But at the same time, it is nice to just not have to worry about, have to do a GM, have to do a raid. Sometimes it's just nice to go into Crucible and kind of just mess around with new weapons, or use an old weapon that you really, really love. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So I'm just happy there's changes coming to PvP. So hopefully they're all good. Once again, there is going to be hiccups here and there, and there's going to be some decisions people don't like, because they are also talking about abilities in tomorrow's TWAB, which is going to be very interesting, in particular with PvP, because a lot of people are saying how ability-based PvP has become, especially something like Trials. So that'll be very, very interesting, because once again, when it comes to PvP, you want more gunplay than ability play. So I'll happily take a case of even something like, just say with Trials, you might, rather than starting with your abilities, you only start with your guns. And then you let your abilities, like, gradually go up. They could do something like that, which would be interesting to see. So rather than the start of a match, it's just constant, like, grenade spams, and, like, you know, it could be like knife throws or smokes from hunters or whatever, or celestial fires. It might just be, the first match of Trials basically just has to be gunplay until you get your abilities, even though once again there is ways that you can get your abilities faster, like with like double bomber or double, is it hands on? There's stuff like that you can do. So obviously we don't know what it's going to be. It could be something like that, but I think they're going to probably be a little more intuitive than just be like, oh yeah, you just don't start with your abilities. So yeah, that's kind of my overall thoughts on PvP. Obviously Rift is coming back, which is great. I think that'll just be a fun game mode, because I don't think there's enough fun game modes in Destiny. Like, Mayhem's always fun, but once again, it's quite old. You just get kind of bored of it. Then there was Momentum Control, which I think it's quite fun as well. I must say, it's nice just to rock in with a weapon and just absolutely shred people. It was I loved personally when you could, like, one tap with a 150 scout rifle, because I think that's what really kind of, when that came out, I was like, if only sniping felt like this. So that's when I was like, maybe I might actually try sniping, because it's very satisfying just getting that headshot and they just fall to the ground. So yeah, that's kind of just overall my thoughts on PvP, and I really hope that they stick the landing on all the changes that they're going to do.